Today we're hanging out at Park Inn by Radisson, Cape Town for sure. We have the honor of sitting down with public relations genius Clayton Morar. He has established himself as one of the foremost celebrity talent and public relations experts in South Africa. You are watching A Walk with Mal, so sit back, relax and enjoy as we are unpacking his journey on the show today. Today we're spilling the tea, honey.
How you doing?
Fabulous. I'm loving this place, the beautiful hotel. I mean, the views are on point, the views is on point. It's a walk with Mal, and it's so exciting to have you on the show finally. You normally handle the behind the scenes for your clients, but today we've got the honor to have you on our show today.
Well, thank you for having me, Mal. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, for sure. And let's talk about your journey. I mean, when you started out, what was life growing up? You're all the way from PE, obviously.
Yes.
No?
Proudly so.
Proudly Basically like a Cape Townian already, but like, what was life growing up for you?
Oh man, PE is for me, I still call it home. They always say home is with the hearties, So obviously I love Cape Town. This is my home now, but my adopted home. But Port Elizabeth was an amazing city. I mean, I think one of the things that we grew up with, we had such amazing richness with people and just history. And, the ANC is the birthplace in the Eastern Cape. So Port Elizabeth being in the Eastern Cape, there's so many amazing people that have come out of there. But one of the things we didn't have was entertainment within the city as much. A lot of people were born and bred and groomed to take over the world. So, that's where the...
You see it?
And I thank you.
You're welcome.
No. I'm here for a laugh. But I mean, I think that's just how I grew up. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, it's good to celebrate people. We need to celebrate more of our own.
So true.
And we need to just celebrate people that are proudly from the Eastern Cape, because Eastern Cape always gets a bad rap. Gareth Cliff said it referred to it in one Idol season as it's the armpit of South Africa. So we know he's very controversial and loves making those types of statements. But yeah, for me, I love Port Elizabeth. Growing up with, I'm the youngest of 3 kids.
Wow.
So growing up, I had always an admiration for celebrities, and just when people came to the city to do concerts, or I remember growing up, I attended my first concert. I was like 11 years old.
What?
And Al Jarreau, the famous, legendary Al Jarreau, came to the then University of Port Elizabeth Indoor Sports Centre. And I'd won tickets to go watch the show in one of the local newspapers. So, I had very much sort of links with entertainment from an early age. But one thing that I should actually backtrack and say is that my aunt, she is revered in the city because she was the first person of color to have their own ballet dancing school.
And I thank you.
So that's Auntie Sybil. So
hey, Auntie Sybil, shout out to Auntie Sybil.
So she's living. She immigrated in '87 to Australia, but I mean, for 25 years she celebrated dancing, modern dancing and ballet school.
That's
so
amazing.
to be honest, entertainment does run through the.
It's in the blood.
The bloodline.
It's in the blood. And when did the PR bug hit you? When did that happen for you?
For me, I find that I probably only got into it probably around 2012. That's when I started Clayton Morar Media. But I mean, I'm a trained journalist by profession.
Love it.
I studied in Port Elizabeth, so I obtained my national diploma, and there was an option to study on, but I thought I was hungry to get into the industry from the get-go. And I moved to Cape Town in 2006. I started out at TV Plus magazine in Cape Town, so I was there for 5 years. I started out as junior writer. I left as the assistant news editor.
What?
So by that time, blogging just really started taking off. And my brushes and my moments with celebrities got people's attention. So there was opportunities to have radio gigs on Heart FM. I had an Expresso started calling, and I did celebrity segments every week to give all the gossip news.
Amazing.
So things really built from my love for entertainment news and journalism. And in that year, people started coming out to me saying, but all the people at the different media places, like you should get into PR. And I was like, actually, you know what? That's not a bad idea. So I always refer to it as PR found me, rather than me finding PR. So
amazing.
Because of that, I it was a natural love affair, so to speak. And
Beautiful.
it's the best career move, moving from journalism, well trained, studied, got all the cool interview experience with people within South Africa and internationally, and then started my own PR company, and it's been 7 years and growing.
Sure, amazing. I mean, I've been working with you, and it's been a ball.
Yeah.
And your journey has been awesome. I mean, like we said earlier, you met with Wendy Williams.
How you doing?
Yes, how you doing? Clayton Morar with the silent R.
Oh yeah,
tell us about
that.
Yeah, tell us about that experience over there. Like, how did that happen?
Well, that happened in 2016, so that wasn't too far back. In fact, I can't believe it's 3 years ago. I went to go and attend a concert of my favorite singer, which is Mariah. Actually, she's joint favorite with Beyonce, but I mean, she's the first one I fell in love with first from a young age.
Wow.
And at that time, I'm very resourceful, and I think there are ways, if you're going to go all the way to the US, you might as well make it work. So even though I was quote unquote a retired journalist in many ways, I figured if I get opportunities, I do have the reach, I do know the right people, I can in a way give that sort of publicity to the PR company that was having a few events there. So long story short, that opportunity came about where I went to go interview some of very much different people from E-Entertainment.
Wow.
So there was a lot of TV shows on a press junket day, and they obviously flew me over, and it happened to be around the right timing where Mariah's concert was going to be in the USA. And long story short, I ended up going to New York, and I figured if I'm going to go to New York, I have to obviously interview Wendy. So the God brought everything together, the stars aligned.
Amazing.
And I ended up attending the Wendy Williams show, and I interviewed her backstage afterwards. She was a dream. She was absolutely a dream. One of the career highlights for me.
Yeah, lekker man. Loving the vibe. People, we are hanging out with Clayton Morar today on A Walk with Mal, your favorite show. I want to see more of this beautiful place that we're at. So
awesome.
Please show
Let's
me
go.
around.
Let's go. Let's check out.
And we are back, people. It is A Walk with Mal. If you just joined us, we're hanging out with Clayton Morar, silent R. And your journey sounds so exciting. I mean, there's a lot of people that would dream to just do half of the stuff that you've done already. Earlier, we spoke about you. I mean, you were in New York and you had a chat with Wendy Williams, etc. And that was so dope. And then you also were at the Golden Globes.
Yes, it was at the same time period of when I visited the USA with, like I was saying, the entertainment junket and the Mariah concert. I mean, Mariah concert was all about me going, so I wasn't invited. So I think that's one of the things that are sometimes one of the misconceptions, that people think you get these fabulous opportunities. You know what it's like in the entertainment industry as well. You have to work, you have to hustle, you have to prove to people why they should give you access.
Sure.
So even just that trip, it's like you're saying, people wish that they could have a similar opportunity. I approached people and I went to them and said, this is what I can do for you if you give me access. So that's basically the approach that I've taken throughout my career, whether it was being as a journalist or whether it was when I first started in PR, and it's how I also operate today. It's not so much about going to people, what can you do for me? I think people kind of forget that, people want the corporate term is mutually beneficial exchange.
Hey, and I think
so
it's
how
can
I scratch your back and how can you scratch mine? So it's win-win. Everybody wants to feel like they're also getting something out of it equally. So based on that, to answer your question, I attended the Golden Globes as a result of me being in the US at the time.
Stunning.
So they were basically saying, I was told a day before the event, we have a spare ticket. Are you keen on going and attending? I was like, are you kidding me? Like the Golden Globes? Like who says no to the Golden Globes?
No, you're there. Like
so it was really a fascinating and eye-opening experience, because I mean, someone who's literally born from Port Elizabeth, who's living in Cape Town for the last 13 years now, ends up on the red carpet at the Golden Globes. It's
PR definitely chose you. Like,
no,
I
do believe that. Yeah. And I think it's it's timing, and it's God's divine timing, and I feel like, if I had achieved that early in life, it wouldn't have been the moment. I wouldn't have saved it as much the way I did on that night. So I was fortunate to meet many people, from Nicole Scherzinger to Queen Latifah to Nene Leakes to Jamie Foxx to Sam Smith, Katy Perry, the cast of Empire, which mostly was like Taraji P. Henson, Jussie Smollett, and
that is mad.
Gabrielle Union to Megan Fox and Devon Franklin.
Amazing.
I can't even remember the names as much.
I mean, you didn't mention me. We met there. We met there too. But that, just the thought of it, like,
no, you see, I wasn't in the venue when you were getting your award. You know what I'm saying?
Thank
so,
you.
unfortunately, I was out of the. I was
couldn't get in at the time.
I wasn't part of your entourage at the time.
I didn't want to say that. I wanted you to say. In my mind, I would say that you've got a successful career so far. Okay. Successful and consistent. Yeah. What would you say? What does it take to do this longevity-wise?
Oh, it's a lot of hard work.
Successful-wise.
It's a lot of hard work, and I feel I've never felt I've arrived. I don't think I ever will feel like I've arrived in my career. And it's not a case of, I'm trying to downplay when you say successful.
No, I get
it's just,
you.
I generally feel, and I embody the thing that you're only as good as your last project.
Sure.
Or you're only as good as your last client you've worked with. So I'm as consistent in saying this to my own clients, and I think that's one of the things I told you when we started working together. As I am in my personal life, I am not the type of person that sits there and looks at photos like, here's my shrine of I've met people. Because I feel a job shouldn't define who you are.
Sure.
You are supposed to have a calling that is allowing you to serve through the job. And this is a job. You know what I mean? It's a job. So the thing is, you got to ask yourself, and I always ask myself, is if something happened to me, God forbid, and this job wasn't available to me anymore, who would I be without this position? So based on that, like, I don't sit there and think like, I'm more better than the other person. I think that's why this is so special in the sense of when I meet people that are amazing, it's because I often remind myself, I'm just that young boy who dreamt in Port Elizabeth of making it one day. And I dreamt of, trying to bridge the gap of just saying, oh my gosh, I watched you on TV, or your music inspired me in the case of Morar, or Oprah Winfrey, it's because of you that I'm in media today.
What?
So those are the moments that have really been made me realize that how blessed I am to work in not only the SA entertainment industry but in the global entertainment industry.
Amazing.
So I don't take that for granted.
Beautiful
1 second.
Emotionally. What would you say is the challenges that you faced on your journey so far?
Oh man, no one warned me that this is going to be a lonely walk and a lonely journey. And what I mean by that is, I'm doing a walk with Mel. I'm doing a walk with Mel, even though Liverpool's not my team. It's still Manchester United.
Are you Manchester?
Yeah, Manchester United.
But nonetheless, what did people not tell you?
Sorry. We obviously we're having so much fun. We're digressing here. It's a lonely journey in that you've got the company's called Clayton Morar Media, and I only did that because of what I achieved as a journalist. People knew of the interviews that I was doing, so I had quote unquote made a name for myself.
Okay.
So to kind of get that continuity going, people thought, what would my next phase in my life be after leaving journalism? So I thought, if I have a name that I've established already, let's continue into the next journey into PR. So that's why it's only for that. It's not on a narcissistic
I got
term.
you. I got you.
That I had credibility, and I wanted to utilize that for my PR skills.
I got you.
And the first thing I found out was that it's quite lonely because I'm responsible for everything.
Sure.
The admin, the outsourcing, the business development, the pitching to clients, why I would make a good addition to their lives and part of their team, to just the days when the work is not there and the struggles. There are days that you're not going to get the paychecks, and and one of the things is people don't pay on time. There are so many struggles. There's people are affected if they don't get paid, they can't pay you. There's just so many things that you're not prepared for. Being an entrepreneur is a lonely journey. It's a lot of self-sacrifice. I don't see it as a 9 to 5, and I've worked 9 to 5 for many years and I love it, and if people enjoy it, because it depends on their priorities. But for me, I call it a 9 until that in contact message comes and the payment goes through, then you feel you would have worked. So There are days where I work 16 hours. There are days where I work 18 hours. There are days where I work no less than 12 hours. And I have to do it because I'm responsible for feeding myself at the end of the day.
Wow.
So it's a very lonely journey. But also, with that being said, there are various other challenges. You often have to deal with egos.
Yes, of course.
You know, we are
Because of the
working,
entertainment
we are working
industry.
in the entertainment industry, and I'm not going to knock it because this is where I work and I find my bread coming in. But you know, sometimes, you know, entertainment industry, it's about celebrating people who have their own personal brands. So if you look at individuals who are celebrities, you know, you have to support them, and it's a quote unquote all about me scenario.
I got you.
So you have to endorse that, and we have fans that celebrate artists and singers and sports stars and entertainers because they, as the individuals, are their brands. But sometimes, you know, I believe if you don't know who you are coming into the entertainment industry, fame is going to define who you become.
Thank you for saying that.
So, you know, it's always about being grounded. You know, you can have the money in the cars today, and tomorrow there could be some sort of life-altering circumstance.
So true.
And you know, money can't buy happiness. Doesn't matter whether you have. So I always believe, you know, stick to your morals and your character and your value. And often, you know, this you can get tested. And I've seen clients that I've worked with. I've seen friends that I've met in the entertainment industry. And one of the biggest issues is that, you know, people often want to be seen in the limelight. And to quote Miss Oprah Winfrey, as you know, and you've known for a long time, she's, you know, obviously one of my heroines, and she said that if you are responsible for giving out good energy, just know that it's going to come back to you in the same fashion.
Sure.
So for her, she was like, after interviewing almost 29,000 people during the 25-year reign of the Oprah Winfrey Show, before she closed down that part of her life and opened up the Oprah Winfrey Network, she said the common theme that runs through the human experience is that we all seek validation.
True, I know about that, yeah. I saw that.
So we seek validation. So what she's saying is that, you know, every day, all what we are trying to be seen is for people to say is, do you see me?
Yes.
Do you hear me? And
Was I okay?
And
Was
do I matter to you?
Yeah.
And I think, you know, she's obviously someone in entertainment, but we do that in our personal lives.
True.
Like every fight we have with a loved one or a friend is like, you didn't listen to me, or do I matter to you because you're ignoring me? And I think why it's an important aspect that I'm touching on is because I believe that's what fame does to people.
Sure.
Sometimes if you don't know who you are,
That can destroy you,
you're
actually.
often looking for validation through the entertainment industry, and because they are fans, you end up finding the happiness in the hands of external sources rather than knowing who you are and what you bring to this platform.
It's going to become like an addiction as well.
And that's where, I mean, you can look at the horror stories of people who burn out or go to rehab or have had their spirals. I mean, you know, it's worse for teens because let's look at Justin Bieber, Lindsay Lohan.
Yes.
You know, they are adored people, but they have personal crises because why? No one prepares you for the amount of fame when you are shoved in the spotlight, you know, not by choice.
Yes.
And yes, it's great you make money off these people, off the fans, and you know, you have fans that come and support you in your shows and your concerts and stuff, but you know, there's an intrusiveness that happens when fans think they own you.
Sure.
And you know, you get stalkers and it just becomes crazy. And I mean, I'm talking on the levels of Hollywood.
I know, yeah.
And the reason why I say that, because you know, any person that's in the entertainment industry, we measure Hollywood as the epitome of success.
True.
So you know, whatever we do and copy or follow or emulate is exactly what is being celebrated, because that's why everybody is off to Hollywood to make it.
True.
So that is the sort of utopia of where people want to reach their success. So often,
but not knowing this.
Knowing this, you know, you often, I mean, no one teaches this to you. You have to learn, and it's something that I've had to go through experiences, to good and bad, to see that, you know, what is it that I want out of this. And you know, the difference with me and it's other people that, you know, want to compare is that I've actually worked in Hollywood. As in, I've got clients there.
Wow.
I've worked, you know, I've been to the Golden Globes, I've done stuff. And why I have that approach of how I want to change the way people see PR here, it's based on that. Like, everybody has a different journey. So whether you have or haven't, that's your own approach to life. For me, it's my unique stamp of approval, which is why it's the Clayton Morar effect.
And I saw that. I've been learning life lessons on the show as well.
It's important.
It's important. I mean, you've got a variety of clients. I mean, you do the celebrity life, but you also do a lot of events. And I've had the honor of being at some of the events. It was so cool. Successful events. Like, what would you say was the highlights for you so far?
Well, by far, it's when I went global with my PR business, and that was in 2018, which was last year. I've been working, as the South African PR company for Showtime Australia for a good couple of years now, since 2015, and it's always been on a per event basis when they do their shows and productions, because they are globally renowned shows, and they specifically work in the tribute market, tribute production market, and the highlight of going global was because I worked for 7 months as their global PR manager last year, because the amount of volume of shows that they had ongoing, and in doing so I spent 2.5 months in the USA working as a publicist there on the Greatest Love of All show, which is a tribute to Whitney Houston, starring the very own Belinda Davids, who is also Port Elizabeth born, so P people in the house.
Represent you,
and for me that was the biggest highlight of, every other client I've had has molded me to do better and become better and expand my network, and every single client I've met in this journey, has made me a better publicist and a better human being. So it's just that they elevated me to a global level of my work and my business. So that has been a highlight since. And, based on that, I was referred by Showtime Australia to Dance Partner Productions, and they are currently still in South Africa doing Burn the Floor. And, we've about to wrap up a 2-month stint on Burn the Floor. So that was in Cape Town, Durban, and Joburg recently, and because of that, it also exposed me to a greater side of more global productions, because this is a dance production, Burn the Floor, whereas it's music and live band performance and dances within the Showtime Australia market. So they've got various shows like the Greatest Love of All show, as I mentioned. They've got Tina, Simply the Best. They've got Beatlemania on tour. They've got Queen, It's a Kind of Magic. They've got the Michael Jackson History Show. So it has definitely expanded my network. And some of the other events, I've worked with amazing local sort of artists and comedians. I've done PR for people like Stuart Taylor, Dalen Oliver. It's been really amazing that my scope of my PR sort of CV and resume has broadened, other than just started out working with individuals, and it's just taken up a notch or two over the years.
Beautiful. Last 2 questions. What would you say is the vision for you now?
I would like to keep operating globally, and I would like to travel more. I love traveling. I've been blessed with my work taking me overseas to travel and work there. I just naturally have a love for travel. And yes, I've been blessed to go with work. I started out as a journalist traveling, on the sets of Survivor, essay going behind the scenes, Big Brother Africa, things like that. But most of all, I actually on my own made a rule that at least once every 2 years I've got to save and go on my own personal traveling excursions, which I've done. So I've been blessed that my fulfillment is travel, so I will sacrifice other things to make that happen. And with that being said, operating globally, I also want to attract the right people into my business. And I honestly prayed this year, for the first time I said, I'm going to put God at the center of my business. And I feel we often forget that.
True.
And I said, it's important to have him at the center of my business. And I prayed to say, can you attract to my business the right people that need my skill, and use me as a form of service to amplify and highlight the light. We need more people that are showcasing the light. So that is always going to be my vision, no matter where I go from here. And also, I think, some of us always want to be a big fish in a small pond, and I grew up in Port Elizabeth experiencing a taste of that, and I think then going national, we still have that in South Africa. This is a bit of a small pond still. I'm proudly South African, but I feel often, we are misrepresented in Hollywood.
Yes.
We don't have the right representation.
Thank you.
We have limited representation.
True.
And I want to be the go-to PR company for Hollywood talent to come to South Africa.
You're welcome.
So that's why these connections of going to Hollywood has been cemented based on that.
Beautiful.
So I genuinely want to be the bridge between people saying, I want to do more work in South Africa, and they need a publicist. I'm your boy, Clay.
Hey, Clay in the building.
Yes.
And then if they want to book you, what do they do? I mean, if there's people watching, Beyonce normally watches my show. I don't want to put you on the spot, but if she wants to book you,
well, the thing is, Beyonce, let your publicist Yvette call me.
Oh I thank you. I get it now.
Yvette no show people. She's the publicist.
Okay.
She's obviously what everybody aspires to, but on a serious note, if everybody wants to call me, I would say, my website is claytonmorarmedia.com.
Love it.
MORAR, as we say, Wendy says the R is silent.
Morar.
And I'm on social media, Clayton Morar Media on Instagram and Clayton Morar Media on Facebook as well.
Love it.
And also, I welcome people asking advice or tips on how to get into PR, or if just people want to know about, I need a publicist, what's my next move?
Sure.
I feel, I've got to assess, like, what do you have that's worth a PR, and, are you ready for PR? Because, it's obviously people want PR, but I've got to ask you, what do you need it for? Do you have an actual product or something that we could use to promote?
I get you.
And are you ready to meet the moment? Because sometimes you think you're ready, and that's okay. It's just, you got to figure out who you are. And I have these exact questions and conversations with them saying, yes, it's great to just add another client, but I always say to everybody, I'm a reflection of you, and you are a reflection of me, and I'm only as good as my clients, and I want to know that I'm going to serve you in the best light.
Thank you, I got you.
And that I am going to do the work that's going to amplify and put you on another level and moving on up. And it shouldn't be a disservice to your brand. So if you're not ready, then, don't just get to use PR because seeing your face in a newspaper brings you temporary sort of joy. It's not about that. It's
connecting the right people, basically, once again.
And obviously we are celebrity starved in SA when it comes to seeing Hollywood people. True. So obviously we all grew up wanting to aspire to meet celebrities, and I mean I did that when I was younger. And for me it's not a bad thing if that is your thing. I used to collect autographs, and it was a big part of my life. But I now realize that the purpose of that was to connect with people and not feel like I am paparazzi, where automatically when they hear the word, oh, he's a journalist, people close off.
I get you.
So it was a way of, in a way, I would say, I didn't even do it strategically, but I now realize I just wanted to get something different to be spotted. The validation. You see that aha moment we spoke about, and to be seen that I am someone that you recognize and that you know that I'm not like the rest. And that I used to get a lot of press back in the day, and people still think like, oh, that's cute, because I was treated like a fan.
I get you.
And the thing is, I'm not a fan.
No.
I have people that I speak about, like Mariah, Oprah, Beyonce, that has shaped my life in very personal ways, that inspired me. But I'm not a fan of every single person. I'm actually here as a colleague in your industry. So I felt I was getting the disrespect for that. So as a result, in 2012, I haven't really mentioned it too much in the public, because it was a chapter that brought me closer to meeting the right people.
You had to go through that.
Yes, that's why I think it's important to mention it now, that I burnt 95% of the collection, of which I had 5,500. I literally burnt it up, and from now it's evolving over to this is what I'm doing now. It's funny how people used to make remarks about, oh, he's cute, that's such like a fan mode, and those same people are coming now to me to say, can you do my PR?
What?
So
that's next level.
So that's an important lesson for me as well, that it was something that I intended to do, and I needed to get that done. And I mean, this is why I can have good. I can have good relations with people, and people that used to see me in that journey. That I mean, there's just so many people in South African entertainment industry that are like, I've seen your journey since day one.
Sure.
And look at you now. I'm proud of what you have accomplished, and I unfortunately had to go through the losing and the passing of my mother in 2017, and she was a massive rock for me.
Sure.
And I've now since asked myself, what is my legacy?
Thank you so much for tuning in, Clayton Morar. Thank you so much for sharing your journey on the show.